Hello friends, welcome to my Sakshi coaching channel. Now in this video, I am going to read the chapter 6 in the biology 11th class, that is anatomy of flowering plants. So let's start. You can very easily see the structural similarities and variations in the external morphology of the larger living organisms, both plants and animals. Similarly, if we were to study the internal structure, one also finds several similarities as well as differences. This chapter introduces you to the internal structure and functional organization of higher plants. Study of internal structure of plants is called anatomy. Plants have cells as a unit, basic unit. Cells are organized into tissues, and in turn the tissues are organized into organs. Different organs in a plant show differences in their internal structure. Within angiosperms, the monocots and the dicots are also seen to be anatomically different. Internal structures also showed adaptations to diverse environments. 6.1 The tissues. A tissue is a group of cells having a common origin and usually performing a common function. A plant is made up of different kinds of the tissues. Tissues are classified into two main groups, namely meristematic and permanent tissues, based on whether the cells being formed are capable of dividing or not. 6.1.1 Meristematic tissues. Growth in plants is largely restricted to the specialized regions of the active cell division called meristems. Plants have different kinds of the meristems. The meristems which occur at the tips of the roots and the shoots and produce primary tissues are called apical meristems. Figure 6.1. You can see this figure. Root apical meristem occupies the tip of a root, while the shoot apical meristem occupies the distant most region of the stem axis. During the formation of the leaves and elongation of the stem, some cells left behind from the shoot apical meristem constitute the axillary bud. Such buds are present in the axils of the leaves and are capable of forming a branch or a flower. The meristem which occurs between the mature tissues is known as intercalary meristem. They occur in grasses and regenerate parts removed by the grazing herbivores. Both apical meristems and intercalary meristems are primary meristems because they appear early in the life of a plant and contribute to the formation of the primary plant body. The meristem that occurs in the mature region of the roots and the shoots of the many plants, particularly those that produce woody axis and appear later than the primary meristem, is called the secondary or lateral meristem. These are cylindrical meristems. Fascicular, vascular cambium, interfascicular cambium and cork cambium are the examples of the lateral meristems. These are responsible for producing the secondary tissues. Following divisions of the cells in both primary as well as secondary meristems, the newly formed cells become structurally and functionally specialized and lose the ability to divide. Such cells are termed permanent or mature cells and constitute the permanent tissues. During the formation of primary plant body, specific regions of the apical meristem produce dermal tissues, ground tissues and vascular tissues. 6.1.2 Permanent tissues. The cells of the permanent tissues do not generally divide further. Permanent tissues having all cells similar in structure and function are called simple tissues. Permanent tissues having many different types of these cells are called complex tissues. 6.1.2.1 that is simple tissues. A simple tissue is made up of only one type of cells. The various simple tissues in plants are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma forms the major component within organs. The cells of the parenchyma are generally isodiametric. They may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal or elongated in shape. Their walls are thin and made up of cellulose. They may either be closely packed or have small intracellular spaces. The parenchyma performs various functions like photosynthesis, storage, secretion. The collenchyma occurs in layers below the epidermis in dicotyledonous plants. It is found either as a homogeneous layer or in patches. It consists of cells which are much thickened at the corners due to the deposition of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Collenchymatous cells may be oval, spherical or polygonal and often contain chloroplast. These cells assimilate food when they contain chloroplast. Intracellular spaces are absent. They provide mechanical support to the growing parts of the plant such as young stem and petiole of a leaf. Sclerenchyma consists of long narrow cells with thick and lignified cell walls having a few or numerous pits. They are usually dead and without protoplast. On the basis of the variation in form, structure, origin and development, sclerenchyma may be either fibers or sclerites. The fibers are thick-walled, elongated and pointed cells, generally occurring in groups in various parts of the plant. The sclerites are spherical, oval or cylindrical, highly thickened dead cells with very narrow cavities lumen. These are commonly found in the fruit walls of nuts, pulp of fruits like guava, pear and sapota, seed coats of legumes and leaves of tea. Sclerenchyma provides mechanical support to organs. 6.1.2.1 2.2 Complex tissues. The complex tissues are made up of more than one type of the cells and these work together as a unit. Xylem and phloem constitute the complex tissues in plants. Xylem functions as a conducting tissue for water and minerals from roots to the stem and leaves. It also provides mechanical strength to the plant parts. It is composed of four different kinds of the elements, namely tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers and xylem parenchyma. Gymnosperms lack vessels in their xylem. Tracheids are elongated or tube-like cells with thick and lignified walls and tapering ends. These are dead and are without protoplasm. The inner layers of the cell walls have thickenings which vary in form. In flowering plants, tracheids and the vessels are the main water transporting elements. Vessel is a long cylindrical tube-like structure made up of many cells called vessel members, each with lignified walls and a large central cavity. The vessel cells are also devoid of protoplasm. Vessel members are interconnected through perforations in their common walls. The presence of vessels is a characteristic feature of angiosperms. Xylem fibers have highly thickened walls and obliterated central lumens. These may either be septate or aseptate. Xylem parenchyma cells are living and thin-walled and their cell walls are made up of cellulose. They store food materials in the form of starch or fat and other substances like tannins. The radial conduction of water takes place by the ray parenchymatous cells. Primary xylem is of two types, protoxylem and metaxylem. The first formed primary xylem elements are called protoxylem and the latter formed primary xylem is called metaxylem. In the stems, the protoxylem lies towards the center pith and the metaxylem lies towards the periphery of the organ. This type of primary xylem is called endarch. In roots, the protoxylem lies towards periphery and metaxylem lies towards the center. Such arrangement of primary xylem is called exarch. Phloem transports food materials usually from leaves to the other parts of the plant. Phloem in angiosperms is composed of sieve tube elements, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Gymnosperms have albuminous cells and sieve cells. They lack sieve tubes and companion cells. Sieve tube elements are also long tube-like structures arranged longitudinally and are associated with the companion cells. Their end walls are perforated in a sieve-like manner to form the sieve plates. A mature sieve element possesses a peripheral cytoplasm and a large vacuole but lacks a nucleus. The functions of sieve tubes are controlled by the nucleus of the companion cells. The companion cells are specialized parenchymatous cells which are closely associated with the sieve tube elements. The sieve tube elements and companion cells are connected by the pit fields present between their common longitudinal walls. The companion cells help in maintaining the pressure gradient in the sieve tubes. Phloem parenchyma is made up of elongated tapering cylindrical cells which have dense cytoplasm and nucleus. The cell wall is composed of cellulose and has pits through which the plasmodesmatal connections exist between the cells. The phloem parenchyma stores food material and other substances like resins, latex and mucilage. Phloem parenchyma is absent in most of the monocotyledons. Phloem fibers, that is bast fibers, are made up of sclerenchymatous cells. These are generally absent in the primary phloem but are found in the secondary phloem. These are much elongated, unbranched and have pointed needle-like apices. The cell wall of the phloem fibers is quite thick. At maturity, these fibers lose their protoplasm and become dead. Phloem fibers of jute, flax and hemp are used commercially. The first formed primary phloem consists of narrow sieve tubes and is referred to as protophloem, and the latter formed phloem has bigger sieve tubes and is referred to as metaphloem. 6.2 The tissue system. We were discussing types of the tissues based on the types of the cells present. Let us now consider how tissues vary depending on their location in the plant body. Their structure and function would also be dependent on the location. On the basis of their structure and the location, there are three types of the tissue systems. There are the epidermal tissue system, the ground or fundamental tissue system, and the vascular or the conducting tissue system. 6.2.1 Epidermal tissue system. The epidermal tissue system forms the outermost covering of the whole plant body and comprises epidermal cells, stomata, and the epidermal appendages, the trichomes and hairs. The epidermis is the outermost layer of the primary plant body. It is made up of elongated, compactly arranged cells which form the continuous layer. Epidermis is usually a single layered. Epidermal cells are parenchymatous with a small amount of cytoplasm lining the cell walls and a large vacuole. The outside of the epidermis is often covered with a waxy thick layer called the cuticle, which prevents the loss of water. Cuticle is absent in roots. Stomata are the structures present in the epidermis of the leaves. Stomata regulate the process of the transpiration and gaseous exchange. Each stoma is composed of two bean-shaped cells called the guard cells. In grasses, the guard cells are dumbbell-shaped. The outer walls of the guard cells, that is away from the stomatal pore, are thin, and the inner walls, that is towards the stomatal pore, are highly thickened. The guard cells possesses chloroplast and regulate the opening and closing of the stomata. Sometimes a few epidermal cells in the vicinity of the guard cells become specialized in their shape and size and are known as subsidiary cells. The stomatal aperture, guard cells and the surrounding subsidiary cells are together called stomatal apparatus. The cells of the epidermis bear a number of hairs. The root hairs are unicellular elongations of the epidermal cells and help absorb water and minerals from the soil. On the stem, the epidermal hairs are called trichomes. The trichomes in the shoot system are usually multicellular. They may be branched or unbranched and soft or stiff. They may even be secretory. The trichomes help in preventing water loss due to the transpiration. 6.2.2 The ground tissue system. All tissues except epidermis and the vascular bundles constitute the ground tissue. It consists of simple tissues such as parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchymatous cells are usually present in the cortex, pericycle, pith and medullary rays, in the primary stems and roots. In leaves, the ground tissue consists of thin-walled chloroplast containing the cells and is called mesophyll. 6.2.3 The vascular tissue system. The vascular system consists of a complex tissues, the phloem and the xylem. The xylem and the phloem together constitute vascular bundles. In dicotyledonous stems, cambium is present between the phloem and the xylem. Such vascular bundles, because of the presence of the cambium, possesses the ability to form the secondary xylem and the phloem tissues and hence are called as open vascular bundles. In the monocotyledons, the vascular bundles have no cambium present in them. Hence, since they do not form secondary tissues, these are called referred to as closed. When xylem and the phloem within a vascular bundle are arranged in an alternate manner on different radii, the arrangement is called radial, such as in roots. The conjoint type of the vascular bundles, the xylem and the phloem, are situated at the same radius of the vascular bundles. Such vascular bundles are common in stem and leaves. The conjoint vascular bundles usually have the phloem located only on the outer side of the xylem. 6.3 Anatomy of dicotyledonous and monocotyledonous plants. For a better understanding of tissue organization of roots, stems and leaves, it is convenient to study the transverse sections of the mature zones of these organs. 6.3.1 Dicotyledonous roots. Look at the figure 6.6a. It shows the transverse section of the sunflower root. The internal tissue organization is as follows. The outermost layer is epidermis. Many of the epidermal cells protrude in the form of the unicellular root hairs. The cortex consists of several layers of thin-walled parenchymatous cells with intracellular spaces. The innermost layer of the cortex is called endodermis. It comprises a single layer of barrel-shaped cells without any intracellular spaces. The tangential as well as radial walls of the endodermal cells have a deposition of water-impermeable waxy material suberin in the form of the Casparian strips. Next to the endodermis lies a few layers of thick-walled parenchymatous cells referred to as pericycle. Initiation of lateral roots and the vascular cambium during the secondary growth takes place in these cells. The pith is small or inconspicuous. The parenchymatous cells which lie between the xylem and the phloem are called conjunctive tissue. These are usually 2 or 4 xylem and the phloem patches. Later a cambium ring develops between the xylem and the phloem. All tissues on the inner side of the endodermis such as pericycle, vascular bundles and the pith constitute the stele. 6.3.2 Monocotyledonous roots. The anatomy of the monocot root is similar to the dicot root in many respects. It has epidermis, cortex, endodermis, pericycle, vascular bundles and pith as compared to the dicot root which have fewer xylem bundles. There are usually more than 6 polyarch xylem bundles in the monocot root. Pith is large and well developed. Monocotyledonous roots do not undergo any secondary growth. 6.3.3 Dicotyledonous stem. The transverse section of a typical young dicotyledonous stem shows that the epidermis is the outermost protective layer of the stem, figure 6.7a. Covered with a thin layer of the cuticle, it may bear trichomes and a few stomata. The cells arranged in multiple layers between the epidermis and the pericycle constitute the cortex. It consists of 3 subzones. The outer hypodermis consists of a few layers of the collenchymatous cells just below the epidermis which provide mechanical strength to the young stem. Cortical layers below the hypodermis consist of rounded thin-walled parenchymatous cells with conspicuous intracellular spaces. The innermost layer of the cortex is called the endodermis. The cells of the endodermis are rich in starch grains and the layer is also referred to as a starch sheath. Pericycle is present on the inner side of the endodermis and above the phloem in the form of semilunar patches of the sclerenchyma. In between the vascular bundles, there are a few layers of radially placed parenchymatous cells which constitute medullary rays. A large number of vascular bundles are arranged in a ring. The ring arrangement of a vascular bundles is a characteristic of dicot stem. Each vascular bundle is conjoined, open and with endarched protoxylem. A large number of rounded parenchymatous cells with large intracellular spaces which occupy the central portion of the stem constitute the pith. 6.3.4 Monocotyledonous stem. The monocot stem has a sclerenchymatous hypodermis, a large number of the scattered vascular bundles, each surrounded by a sclerenchymatous bundle sheath, and a large conspicuous parenchymatous ground tissue. Figure 6.7b. Vascular bundles are conjoined and closed. Peripheral vascular bundles are generally smaller than the centrally located ones. The phloem parenchyma is absent and water containing cavities are present within the vascular bundles. 6.3.5 Dorsiventral and dicotyledonous leaf. The vertical section of a dorsiventral leaf through the lamina shows 3 main parts, namely epidermis, mesophyll and vascular system. The epidermis, which covers both the upper surface adaxial epidermis and the lower surface abaxial epidermis of the leaf, has a conspicuous cuticle. The abaxial epidermis generally bears more stomata than the adaxial epidermis. The latter may even lack stomata. The tissue between the upper and the lower epidermis is called the mesophyll. Mesophyll, which possesses chloroplast and carry out photosynthesis, is made up of parenchyma. It has two types of these cells, the palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma. The adaxially placed palisade parenchyma is made up of elongated cells which are arranged vertically and parallel to each other. The oval or the round and loosely arranged spongy parenchyma is situated below the palisade cells and extends to the lower epidermis. These are numerous large spaces and air cavities between these cells. Vascular system includes vascular bundles which can be seen in the veins and midrib. The size of the vascular bundles are dependent on the size of the veins. The veins vary in thickness in the reticulate venation of the dicot leaves. The vascular bundles are surrounded by a layer of thick-walled bundle sheath cells. Look at the figure 6.8a and find the positions of the xylem in the vascular bundle. 6.3.6 Isobilateral monocotyledonous leaf. The anatomy of isobilateral leaf is similar to that of the dorsiventral leaf in many ways. It shows the following characteristic differences. In an isobilateral leaf, the stomata are present on both the surfaces of the epidermis and the mesophyll is not differentiated into palisade and spongy parenchyma. In grasses, certain adaxial epidermis cells along the veins modify themselves into large, empty colorless cells. These are called bulliform cells. When the bulliform cells in the leaves have absorbed water and are turgid, the leaf surface is exposed. When they are flaccid due to the water stress, they make the leaves curl inwards to minimize the water loss. The parallel venation in monocot leaves is reflected in the near similar sizes of vascular bundles except in main veins as seen in vertical sections of the leaves. 6.4 Secondary growth. The growth of the roots and the stems in length with the help of the apical meristem is called primary growth. Apart from the primary growth, most dicotyledonous plants exhibit an increase in girth. This increase is called the secondary growth. The tissues involved in secondary growth are the two lateral meristems, vascular cambium and cork cambium. 6.4.1 Vascular cambium. The meristematic layer that is responsible for cutting off vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, is called vascular cambium. In the young stem, it is present in patches as a single layer between the xylem and the phloem. Later, it forms a complete ring. 6.4.2 1.1 that is formation of cambial ring. In dicot stems, the cells of the cambium present between the primary xylem and primary phloem is the intrafascicular cambium. The cells of the medullary cells adjoining these intrafascicular cambium become meristematic and form the interfascicular cambium. Thus, a continuous ring of the cambium is formed. 6.4.1.2 Activity of the cambial ring. The cambial ring becomes active and begins to cut off new cells both towards the inner and the outer sides. The cells cut off towards the pith mature into secondary xylem and the cells cut off towards the periphery matures into the secondary phloem. The cambium is generally more active on the inner side than on the outer. As a result, the amount of the secondary xylem produced is more than the secondary phloem and soon forms a compact mass. The primary and the secondary phloems get gradually crushed due to the continued formation and accumulation of the secondary xylem. The primary xylem, however, remains more or less intact in or around the center. At some places, the cambium forms a narrow band of the parenchyma which passes through a secondary xylem and the secondary phloem in the radial directions. These are the secondary medullary rays. Figure 6.9 Secondary growth in dicot stem stages in transverse views. You can see. 6.4.1.3 Spring wood and autumn wood. The activity of the cambium is under the control of many physiological and environmental factors. In temperate regions, the climatic conditions are not uniform through the year. In the spring season, cambium is very active and produces a large number of the xylary elements having vessels with wider cavities. The wood formed during this season is called spring wood or early wood. In winter, the cambium is less active and forms fewer xylem elements that have narrow vessels, and this wood is called autumn wood or late wood. The spring wood is lighter in color and has a lower density, whereas the autumn wood is darker and has a higher density. The two kinds of the woods that appear as alternate concentric rings constitute an annual ring. Annual rings seen in a cut stem give an estimate of the age of the tree. 6.4.1.4 Heartwood and sapwood. In old trees, the greater part of the secondary xylem is dark brown due to the deposition of the organic compounds like tannins, resins, oils, gums, aromatic substances, and essential oils in the central or the innermost layer of the stem. These substances make it hard, durable, and resistant to the attacks of the microorganisms and insects. This region comprises dead elements with highly lignified walls and is called heartwood. The heartwood does not conduct water, but it gives the mechanical support to the stem. The peripheral region of the secondary xylem is lighter in color and is known as the sapwood. It is involved in the conduction of the water and minerals from the root to leaf. 6.4.2 Cork cambium. As the stem continues to increase in girth, due to the activity of the vascular cambium, the outer cortical and the epidermis layers get broken and need to be replaced to provide the new protective cell layers. This sooner or later another meristematic tissue called the cork cambium or the phellogen develops, usually in the cortex region. Phellogen is a couple of the layers thick. It is made up of narrow, thin-walled and nearly rectangular cells. Phellogen cuts off cells on both the sides. The outer cells differentiate into cork or phellem, while the inner cells differentiate into secondary cortex or phelloderm. The cork is impervious to water due to the suberin deposition in the cell walls. The cells of the secondary cortex are parenchymatous. Phellogen, phellem and phelloderm are collectively known as periderm. Due to the activity of the cork cambium, pressure builds up on the remaining layers peripheral to the phellogen, and ultimately these layers die and slows off. Bark is a non-technical term that refers to all tissues exterior to the vascular cambium, therefore including secondary phloem. Bark refers to a number of the tissue types, which periderm and secondary phloem. Bark that is formed early in the season is called early or the soft bark. Towards the end of the season, late or hard bark is formed. Name the various kinds of the cell layers which constitute the bark. At certain regions, the phellogen cuts off slowly, closely arranged parenchymatous cells on the outer side instead of the cork cells. These parenchymatous cells soon rupture the epidermis, forming lens-shaped openings called lenticels. Lenticels permit the exchange of gases between the outer atmosphere and the internal tissue of the stem. This occurs in most woody trees. 6.4.3 Secondary growth in roots. In the dicot root, the vascular cambium is completely secondary in origin. It originates from the tissue located just below the phloem bundles, a portion of pericycle tissue above the protoxylem, forming a complete and continuous wavy ring which later becomes circular. Further events are similar to those already described above for a dicotyledon stem. Figure 6.1.6.11, that is different stages of the secondary growth in a typical dicot root. Secondary growth also occurs in stems and roots of the gymnosperms. However, secondary growth does not occur in monocotyledonous. Summary: anatomically, a plant is made up of different kinds of the tissues. The plant tissues are broadly classified into meristematic, apical, lateral and intercalary, and permanent, simple and complex. Assimilation of food and its storage, transportation of water, minerals and photosynthesis and mechanical support are the main functions of the tissues. There are three types of the tissue systems: epidermal, ground and vascular. The epidermal tissue systems are made up of epidermal cells, stomata and the epidermal appendages. The ground tissue system forms the main bulk of the plant. It is divided into three zones: cortex, pericycle and pith. The vascular tissue system is formed by the xylem and the phloem on the basis of the presence of the cambium located location of the xylem and the phloem, the vascular bundles are of different types. The vascular bundles form the conducting tissue and translocate water, minerals and food material. Monocotyledonous and dicotyledonous plants show marked variation in their internal structures. They differ in type, number and location of the vascular bundles. The secondary growth occurs in most of the dicotyledonous roots and stems, and it increases the girth, diameter of the organs by the activity of the vascular cambium and the cork cambium. The wood is actually a secondary xylem. There are different types of the wood on the basis of their composition and time of production. Chapter completed. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel to get further updates and also more videos. Thank you.